going to do Hitler's natal chart, and one of you had suggested this yesterday, and I want to say thank you for suggesting, because I've never thought of doing Hitler's natal chart, and I think it would be quite interesting to see what triggered him to do like the biggest atrocity in human history. Okay, so first thing I noticed as soon as I started doing his chart was that he's got the moon and Jupiter in the third house. Okay, now I'm going to divide them because I don't want to be, getting confused here. So I'm going to divide them now. Okay, so here we go. He's got in the third house the moon 6 degrees in Capricorn and 8 degrees in Jupiter. So it's kind of like a conjunction, a semi-conjunction here in the third house, and it's in Capricorn, the coldest sign of the zodiac. So Hitler was very comfortable in the third house, as the moon symbolizes comfort, where you're comfortable at. And the third house is ruled by Gemini. It's the house of communication. It's the house of transportation. It's the house of surroundings and siblings. So Hitler either had also a lot of siblings because he had Jupiter here in the third house, or he was really good at, he was very blessed at his speech in the third house. Third house rules your speech, okay? And having Capricorn there signifies that your speech is going to be quite serious. Now, I have Mercury in the third house in Capricorn, and everybody tells me that I talk very seriously, that my tone of voice, sounds very seriously, especially when I speak Spanish, which I don't speak a lot of Spanish because of that, because people get the wrong impression. They think I'm angry, and I'm really not angry. It's just the way I speak. So he's got it here in the coldest sign, and I got to say that he's got majority of his first house in Scorpio, okay? However, he's got 27 degrees of Libra rising in the ascendant, okay? Libra is the sign of justice, of fairness, and of the judge. So his personality was quite charming, okay? Not only did he have great speech and he was comfortable speaking, he didn't have any stage fright or anything like that, but he was quite a charmer, okay? And also, Libra is the sign of judgment, of being the judge. So he thought that what he was doing was correct, and he was going to go all the way through it, okay? Now, let's go here to the 7th house, and he's got a stellium here in the 7th house. It's ruled by Taurus and a little bit of Aries here. And he was born 00 degrees on Taurus, and he was pretty much cusping between Aries and Taurus. And Aries is the sign of the leader, okay? Person that's a go-getter, takes risk, likes to be first, the initiator. And Taurus is the sign of hard work, of being organized, and of being cautious, taking the step by step, and also being stubborn, being persistent. Hitler was very persistent. I mean, I saw his biography one time, and I heard that he failed many times at what he was doing, and he was trying to do, but he kept on going for years and years and years. And Taurus is very, very persistent. I know this because my mom is a Taurus, and I've had friends that are Tauruses, and they can go on for years with the same idea, okay, and they don't get tired. They're just determined to get it. So when you have your Aries conjunct with, the cusp of Taurus and Aries, you get a very determined individual that's not going to stop at what he wants. And I know a lot of you are born during this time, during this day, and you could relate to this. At whatever it is that you're doing in your life, you're determined to get whatever it is you want, okay? Now, it's in the 7th house of other people. It's not in his first house of self. It's in the opposite house of other people. So he's very determined to win other people, okay? He also has Mars here in Taurus, which he's determined to assert his willpower over other people. Now, he also has here 16 degrees of Venus, which denotes that the female that he would marry would be a beautiful woman. I think I've seen her before. I'm not sure. I think it was 2 ladies that he married. I'm not quite sure about that, but it also denotes that he also has a capability of handling people in a very nice way that people find good, okay? So he has Venus and Mars conjunct actually. So they're both conjunct. So it's a big passion of his. Big passion. When you have Venus and Mars conjunct, they're married. Okay, they're forming a baby, they're forming a child, they're creating something. Especially, and we have here the sun. Sun is the creation itself. So it's also an attraction and a determination and a willpower to go after other people and be concerned of other people. Okay, now I have had clients with Mars placement here of other people, and sometimes I could sense that, they could be a little bit of a ball of fire and of trouble because, when you have Mars here in the 7th house, you generally want to be right. You want to assert your beliefs in other people, okay? Mars in the 1st house will give you a lot of energy, of physical energy, because it's your physical self. But here in the 7th house, you just want to assert that willpower over other people, okay? Now, the 8th house of power, he's got Pluto, okay, in Gemini. And he also has 0 degrees of Neptune also. Pluto here in the 8th house of power, of sex, of transformation, and of death. That's amazing. I mean, this chart is dead right on. I can just see it. Pluto is actually in the house that he rules, which is the 8th house. And having Pluto here in the 8th house signifies that you strive for power overall, power, the ultimate power. And having it here in Gemini signifies that you struggle with the power of the tongue. Okay, you want to have power over influence and communication and the way you present yourself, being the magician. Okay. Now, Hitler has 16 degrees North Node in the 9th house of higher knowledge of worlds, of travel, of education. So he was aiming towards the 9th house of probably being global, which the 9th house has to do with global stuff. Okay. He's got 13 degrees Saturn in the 10th house in Leo. Okay. So his whole life he struggled with fame, with reputation, and it's true. His biography, he really did struggle. Like, he had a lot of failures. A lot of failures to get where he was, but he was so determined, so determined that eventually it broke through. Okay? He broke through that Saturn. Saturn in the 10th house could be very detrimental to your image. Okay? And also it could signify that you're like a dictator, because Saturn represents a burden, a strict teacher, and having there, it could signify that you're viewed as Saturn, as Satan. Okay, the 10th house, that's your reputation, viewed like a very cold and heartless person. Okay, now Hitler has 19 degrees Uranus in Libra in the 12th house. Okay, and it's a little close to the ascendant, but not so much. I would say it stays in the 12th house. And having Uranus there in the 12th house could signify that he's quite a genius in the dark arts. The 12th house rules a very dark house of depression, of illnesses, of daydreams, of illusions, and having Uranus there makes you a genius at that, and could channel some information from the 12th house of psychic. But I can see here how he channels all the correct information to achieve what it is that he wants. Okay, now he's got a lot of squares here, and he also has a sextile. He's got sextile of these two with his North Node, which totally aided him completely to be global. He has Venus and Mars conjunct, sextiling 16 degrees his North Node, which is global. Now, I forgot to mention that Mercury, he has 25 degrees in Aries in the 7th house. So the way he spoke was like a leader. Okay, having Mercury in Aries, people tend to speak like leaders. They tend to know where they're going. They tend to speak with command in their voice. Okay, so that's another thing that helped them get to where he wanted to go. His Neptune in the 8th house, he dreamt of power. Neptune has to do with dreams and of illusions. This is what he wanted. This was his ultimate goal, and it was kind of very close proximity to Pluto, almost conjunction. So his power was very very illusionary. Like the way he envisioned things, he did it. Okay, he really did envision power. So yeah, in conclusion, his chart is very strong, and it has a lot of pointers of what he did and of who he really was, especially with the Jupiter in the third house and the moon there comfortably and looking great in the third house and how he speaks, having the leadership of Mercury, having his aim at being global in the ninth house, and having all this stellium here in the seventh house of other people and trying to, gain control of them and manipulating them. So this has been the chart reading for Hitler, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want a reading, go to the link below, and all the information is there. Have a great day, guys. Namaste.
Hey guys, check out my music channel where I write my own music, sing, and play piano. Make sure to subscribe.